Tina Zimbricki doesn't seem like a typical pawn customer.
I would not go to a pawn shop.
She and her husband live in an upscale Long Island neighborhood, own 2 boats, and their own landscaping business.
We're very comfortable, but you do need access to cash sometimes. He needed to make an equipment purchase before he started up for the season.
Instead of applying for a bank loan or using a credit card, Zimbricki turned to PawnGo, an online pawn shop based in Denver, Colorado. She shipped her designer rings, bracelets, and earrings.
I put everything in the FedEx box. They got it the next day. They look at it to see that it is what you sent them pictures of. And they said, this is what we're willing to offer you. Do you want to accept it? And you say yes or no. And I said yes. And by the next morning, the money was in my bank account.
Welcome to the world of high-end pawn.
This is a gentleman's Audemars PK watch, which we lent $10,000 against.
Paul Aitken launched Borrow in the UK in 2008.
I think there's little doubt that the idea stemmed from, knowing that people's access to credit was already started to be limited. I actually launched about a week before Lehman Brothers crashed.
The company provides short-term loans against everything from fine art to fine wines to prestige car collections and luxury jewelry. Borrow opened a New York office in 2012, lending over $1 million in just the first 3 months.
We often get people come in, they're a retail business and they've got an opportunity to buy stock. If they pay in cash, they get a big discount. And so, we facilitate those types of things, lots of traders, lots of property developers. But people who have their own businesses often struggle to get access to credit from the banks and just like the ability to turn us on and off like a tap, really.
Borrow and PawnGo are part of a new generation of pawnbrokers, catering to a more affluent customer. But even traditional pawn shops say they've seen a change since the start of the recession. Eric Modell is the president of Modell Financial, a 119-year-old institution in New York City.
Since 2008, since the economy started to fall, the price of gold came up. These things all contributed to a wider customer base for pawn shops. Today we get customers who are more middle class, who have jobs or who have been recently laid off.
And you can't discount the influence of TV shows like Pawn Stars that have taken pawn shops out of the shadows and into the limelight.
Historically, there's definitely been a very negative stereotype on pawn shops. They're dimly lit, they're shady, they're in cages. Today, we're seeing, because of the Hollywood spotlight, that that's not in fact the case.
And this is a Armand violin.
Aitken says he sees high-end pawn as part of the new normal, and he has plans to expand Borrow further in the U.S.
We look to open in California within the next 3 or 4 months, and probably in 2 or 3 other locations in the US in that time.
I know people who are financially, they need help. And for a short-term use, to have short-term access to cash, it's a great alternative for them.